Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including RWBY, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
And Andy Potter.
Hello.
It's time for our highly anticipated RWBY season finale podcast discussion. Today we're talking the Volume 5 finale, Chapter 14 of RWBY, Haven's Fate. We've talked all of Volume 5 here on the Overly Animated Podcast of RWBY. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for Overly Animated RWBY on iTunes. Subscribe there, or YouTube to not miss any of our future RWBY podcasts in like 6 months or something. But this is it for the season, and make sure you've seen Haven's Fate, aired on Rooster Teeth first today. Big finale. RWBY finale is always very hype. A lot of speculation, a lot of excitement on our part, previous podcasts. And Hayley, what were your reactions to the finale?
It did not deliver on the hype, unfortunately. I think we went into this one really jazzed from the last episode and like anticipating all this stuff, and all of our theories seemed like they could be plausible. Like Yang came down, like falling from the sky, and was ready for this intense talk with her mom, and the big fight was happening and everything, and nothing happened. Like none of the stuff that we thought might happen happened, which made it quite bland for the most part. And also the fact that this is now the 4th episode that we spent doing this big dramatic Haven fight, and then we don't see the big fight at the end. We just cut away. Which kind of sucked. I think there were a couple like good moments. I liked the Raven and Yang talk discussion fight scene kind of thing. I think the voice acting
fight
was
scene.
good.
There was not a fight scene there.
No. Verbal fight scene.
Okay. Sparring of words, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that was good, and I really liked Yang's voice acting too. That was really good. Yeah, they're finally together. That's cool. Team RWBY's back. But we didn't really get to see much of them, which was unfortunate. So, yeah,
What a subdued reaction for a finale, Hayley.
That's the problem, is it was done and I was just like, oh, okay, that's it. Like, I wasn't like angry.
It?
Yeah, I wasn't like passionately angry about anything they did, but it was just like, that's the end of like 4 episodes of build-up? Like, Haven is saved. Oh, not that it was in any trouble in the first place from like Adam and his 3 buddies, but that was it. And it was pretty disappointing as a finale to a relatively good season as well. So,
okay. Yeah,
that's my take.
Yeah, we will, we'll discuss the season as a whole at the end, and I forgot to tease in the beginning. Make sure you stay tuned for our rants,
will be rants.
Yeah, the regularly scheduled rants. That's now a recurring segment, and, I have a rant, apparently Andy has a rant, so we'll see. We'll see towards the end, but.
Or like conjure one up at some point.
Yeah, Hayley will think as we go along for a rant, but Andy, what was your reaction to the finale?
It was just really boring. There was nothing that really got me excited or anything, but at the same time, it got rid of a lot of stuff that I was frustrated with in general with the show, so I can say the classic RWBY thing of next season could be better now, because we have a lot of stuff this stuff's out of the way, but I don't want to just keep saying that every season. But otherwise, it just felt like the last 5 minutes of the episode before this. It didn't feel like an actual last episode. It felt like a drawn out last scene of an episode, and it just felt really frustrating with that. After I watched the episode, and I sat with it for a bit though, and I just been bored by it, there were a couple things that just stood out to me as really frustrating and really aggravating when you put them into the lens of this entire season, which we'll get into later. But otherwise, just this episode on its own is just pretty boring. There's not much going on here.
Andy, never stew over RWBY. Also preferably don't think about the show, even though that's all we're doing here, but.
See, you know this, Dylan, because I've been talking about it. I was stuck and I had to think about it, because I was stuck on a car ride, like just traveling all day.
We'll see what that's resulted in later.
Yes, it might be incoherent, but I am mad. I am incoherently mad.
Stay tuned for the rants, TM. Okay, I thought that this finale was fine. It was fine. It was not the best thing about the finale is that it did not enrage me, and there's nothing in it that will cause me to drop the show. I was very worried that Ilya would die. I was very worried that we would get Weiss and John together, and there was nothing offensive about this finale. Nothing was bad. So that's good. Good job for not enraging me. Andy apparently was enraged, but there's nothing here in this finale that I was really enraged
I will
by.
try to convince you, Dylan, that you're wrong, because
Okay.
I think you're wrong.
We'll see. Most things, in this finale I did not really care about, and I thought were pretty underwhelming. One thing that everyone I've seen reactions to seems to be latching onto is that we're finally seeing, RWBY, Weiss, and Blake face off against, Emerald, Mercury, and Hazel, and then they cut away right as the fight starts.
As she says, like, checkmate, go!
Yeah.
And it was like, yay! And then it was like, wait, no, we can't.
Emblematic of this season overall, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
There were two scenes which I really enjoyed. Two 30-second scenes in a 20-minute finale, but I'll take what I can get. And the best thing of all is that Team RWBY has finally reunited fully.
Hallelujah.
This is what we've been waiting for 2 seasons, and that's why we'll be hooked into Volume 6, despite the second underwhelming finale and season in a row. But there's some things to get excited about. There's some things this season did really well. We'll talk about it at the end. And, the finale was fine. It was fine. So that's better than I honestly thought it would be. So, I think it beat my expectations. Hayley, what would you say was your standout scene, if any, of the finale? Would it be, Raven and Yang talking?
I think so. I think once she went into the desert relic area, that went on just a nanosecond too long. But I really appreciated that whole scene because it seemed like something that we've actually been building towards this season, where that was kind of a theme that was going throughout was Raven and Yang reconnecting. And they aren't exactly on good terms at this point, but they at least were blunt with each other and actually talked to each other. And Yang stood up for herself against her mom because that's been something that we've kind of seen, but this way she was like, you know what? No, I am strong and I'm going to do what's right and I'm not leaving like you always seem to leave. Which was good. I'm disappointed that like Cinder didn't pop up because I was expecting that the whole time and was on edge the first time I watched it because I was expecting her to like appear in the doorway and attack Yang or something. But watching a second time, knowing that all the drama and all the theories that we were expecting to happen didn't happen. Yeah, I think it was actually a really good scene. And they got emotional. And like I said, I think the voice acting was pretty good. And it also cemented the fact that I actually like Raven as a character now. Well, she's not good, so I don't like her. But she's interesting now. She's definitely more interesting to me now than she was a couple episodes ago. Because she has more going on than just being like this strange, like, ambiguous character that isn't doing anything, but always seems to be in the way. Now she's got a bit more of a role. So
that's interesting to find. It's interesting that you find Raven more likable after this scene.
Yeah, well, maybe not likable.
More interesting, more engaging of a character.
Exactly. I'm more interested in her storyline now than I used to be. Because before it was like, oh, Yang's mom, cool, I guess that's something we'll find out about. I don't really care that much. But now I think she's got maybe more than just like, oh, magic and I can turn into a bird. Like, that was her thing for a while. But now, like, it seems like she's got some sort of strange history with the previous ring maiden and might have murdered her, which is pretty dramatic.
She definitely murdered her.
She seems to have, right? Yeah. Okay. Which I think
and also she reverts back to turning into a bird as her thing.
Yeah,
Stinger,
exactly.
But yeah.
Like dropping the feathers.
Yeah.
Like, how is she not bald at this point? She's always using feathers.
Do bird hairs correlate to hairs on the human body? Bird feathers? Is that a thing?
This is important.
How does that work? Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I think that Raven's a character that struggled all year. And I think this might have been her best showcase, even though she was super unsympathetic, potentially, in what she was talking about with Yang.
Super unsympathetic.
Yeah, I mean,
but
she murdered the maiden. Basically, it amounts to Raven is just looking out for herself and does what she needs to do to survive, which is what she said before. But Yang calls her out for that and for running away. She says she's powerful but not strong. Yang says, "I don't run," and my favorite part of that is it connects really well to the Blake stuff thematically. So I like that thematic juxtaposition. But yeah, Raven, as a person, I think comes across terribly. Although she does care about Yang because she doesn't attack Yang and, she's crying before she leaves. But maybe more interesting of a character we were expecting to die this episode. We thought Cinder would come back up and kill her and, disappointed that we didn't do that. But if she is going to live, then at least she's more interesting than before. Do you agree, Andy?
Yeah.
I think the fact is that her character hasn't changed. It's that the show has decided to recognize the fact that she has problems. Before this episode, the show was not talking about all the things that she was wrong about. And finally we talk about it. And so she's more interesting because the show is willing to go into those depths. I think it's the best way to put it. Because I don't think she's very different in this episode, but I'm excited to see what the show is going to do with her now, unlike before.
Yeah, the show is just better at presenting the character that they already had. They just struggled a lot with her, and she's better here. I still don't think she's a particularly good character or care about her that much, but this scene was pretty good. This was definitely one of the better scenes of the finale. I think the dialogue was very competent, very at times pretty good. Shout outs to Miles and Carrie on that. Personally, I don't care about these two characters talking, which I think is the main problem. It's okay, Yang's gonna go down and she's gonna fight with her mom and it's gonna be an awesome fight and we want fight scenes and this is just them standing there and talking. It's kind of more of that same problem. I just didn't need to see them talking. It wasn't engaging to me. But kind of on an objective quality level, I do think the scene was done well.
Yeah, it's just disappointing because the last episode finished with such a dramatic climax, oh man, Yang and her are gonna have this big fight, and it seemed like something more was going to happen than them just circling each other and talking. I think it would be interesting to see them even just Yang lash out at her for a second, even rather than just talking to each other. It would have been a little bit more satisfying, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Yang gets mad, but it doesn't really amount to anything.
But
I mean, that's her character arc, though. Yang is supposed to be getting over anger this season, so it made sense that her final scene wasn't a fight, I think.
Yeah. She didn't go into resemblance mode the whole time, which is quite impressive.
In terms of Yang, did not become the maiden, which we thought was possible. We still
one day.
Presumably Team RWBY will be maidens one day, but who knows? And did not change her semblance, which was something that Andy, I think, was theorizing.
Yeah, that was me.
So, nothing really happened here. I guess we're just doing the arc of she's learning to control her anger better. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
But that's mid-season stuff, not season finale stuff, in my opinion.
No. Yeah.
In terms of plot, what Yang learns Raven is the maiden when seeing her open the door, presumably when she's going down the elevator, and then convinces Raven to not take the relic and to let Yang take it because Salem would go after Raven. And then Raven just leaves.
By the way, that's really poor logic because Salem's still going to try to kill Raven because she killed Cinder, or quote unquote killed Cinder.
Very true.
Yeah, if Cinder actually is dead, which she's not, but Raven probably thinks she is, then that's true. In theory, because the relic is out of the vault, Salem doesn't need Raven anymore to open anything. Yeah. But if she's interested in taking the powers just for fighting ability or having Cinder take the powers, then I assume she still is in danger.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yang gets the relic, and the relic is on the side of the good guys. Andy, was this what you were expecting? And how do you think this plays in terms of the overall plot?
I wasn't expecting this because I was expecting Cinder or one of the bad guys to get it, mainly because I didn't expect to get explanation for what the relic was next season. But that being said, they still might not explain it. They might just have it and never explain what it is. But with them having the relic, I'm assuming next season's plot is going to be about explaining what the relics actually do, which would be nice because we still don't know what it does. Which I hope we do that because we have a relic now. But other than that, like, it is a surprise. It is a surprise. I really did think Cinder would come back or Hazel would pick it up or something, but no, Yang just got it, which was actually like a really cool moment, her coming up the elevator with it.
Andy, do you love lamp?
Isn't it?
Love lamp?
I love lamp? Is that what's happening here? Why is this a lamp? Like,
no idea.
I don't know why it's a lamp. It looks very pretty.
Maybe it's because it's knowledge. It's like
it's a genie
seeing light towards the learning, or I don't know, making things clear.
I'm still betting on genie.
I'm expecting a lot of I love lamp memes in the off season, but yeah, we don't really know what that thing does. It's blue. It's a lamp. Apparently, it needs to go to Atlas. There you go.
I was expecting Yang to touch it and like there be more happen. Like she just grabbed it and there was nothing. I was expecting an explosion or her to become like get some new power or something, but
I was expecting like flashbacks. I was expecting like knowledge. It's the relic of knowledge, right? I was expecting her to touch it and then get like one of those. We might not see what she sees, but she'd like
something
tense up and see something.
Mm-hmm. You don't just pick it up and it's like, oh, cool,
nothing.
this glowy thing is neat.
It doesn't really feel like it's a powerful object now.
It really doesn't. No.
Boy, could I care less about this relic. Oh my goodness.
Same. Like they're just passing around like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like I would approach it and be afraid to touch it because you're expecting something to happen. But Crow's just like, oh, cool, this is neat.
This is a neat
Let's
thing.
go on. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully next season we'll learn more. Because right now, nothing.
Presumably we will. Yeah, Raven's not dead. Our good guys have the relic. Cinder's still presumably dead. Kind of the level 1 boring scenario basically happened. From what we're expecting. I do not think Cinder is dead whatsoever. We did not see a scene of the maiden powers transferring. We did not hear her crack and fall down in the thing. It seems a very deliberate showing of non-show, which would indicate, that she would be alive because as we saw with Leo dying in this episode, we heard the stabbing sounds, to indicate death. Yeah. So if they really wanted to show that, they would have Cinder, definitely alive. Do you guys agree?
Definitely. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and we didn't even get her climbing out of the pit in the stinger, so
I think there's a reason for that. I think the main reason we didn't show her coming up is that the vault is still open, and I have a feeling there might be more to the vault being open than we know. Like I think there might be something about that, and Cinder might go in there for something else.
Okay.
Yeah, because Yang just left the door open.
Yeah. Like
you can't close it, but yeah.
My big theory about that is that maybe all the vaults are kind of linked in some way, and so maybe Cinder will end up when they open the door to another vault. Cinder will just be there.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Like she's wandering in this weird desert landscape for a while.
Okay. Yeah, that could be. I think the biggest thing I've seen with Cinder is that she's, now that she got hurt again, she's going to continually accrue more and more Grim parts and become closer to a full Grim. So it's possible we didn't show her here because, she's like very severely hurt. And then next time we see her, Salem will have, surgeryed on more Grim parts other than just her arm.
Or just more extendo arms.
I mean, she could get a second extendo arm, yes.
Anything's possible.
That would be one of the Grim parts. But yeah, I like the thought of, Cinder becoming more and more Grim as we go on. I assume we'll see Cinder next season, but it would be refreshing to just, let that be for like half a season.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe like you're saying, Andy, like at some point next season, they end up at some other relic place and then it's like 3/4 into the season and she shows up. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Especially if we ideally have learned a bit more about what the relics are and what these vaults are all about, and then it would be more impactful as well. But
sure,
that's the hope.
Yeah, we'll speculate a little bit of Volume 6 at the end. Yeah. Andy, pick your favorite scene of the episode.
Oh, we're still on this question.
Yeah. We gotta get the positives out of the way before the rants happen.
Yeah, my favorite scene other than the Yang Raven talk, because I did like that a lot. Other than Yang just pointing at Raven randomly.
Oh, that was so weird.
Yeah,
it was so poorly timed.
That's not what human beings do.
It is.
Oh, that was so strange.
Other than that, I really did enjoy. Enjoy is a strong word, but I liked Team RWBY getting back together. That scene was nice.
Yes.
Finally.
This is one of the two scenes that I liked this episode.
I know what yours is, Dylan, and I'm leaving it for you.
Okay.
And I think this could have been better, but I mean, they're back. Like, why am I'm excited about that they're back together, and I really did like even how it started. Like, Sun pulled her with her tail and it's like, hey, your team's over there, go over there, Blake. And I thought that was a really cute way to start the scene.
Yeah. Can we talk for, not to table the RWBY reunion too much because the show's done that enough, but, can we talk about how great Sun is this episode?
Oh, yeah.
So good. He was
Sun
so supportive.
is cemented himself as best boy in RWBY.
Yes.
He is, absolutely, he was super cute the whole episode. He like Andy said, he pulls Blake with his tail towards, Team RWBY. He does that earlier, a similar thing earlier when he's like, I think they need your help in there. Mm-hmm. Really just, Sun's entire role on the show has just been, these past few seasons, been Blake's, wingman. And
yeah, he's so supportive.
He's very supportive, very sweet. Yeah. I'm really glad that we didn't do romance there. Yeah. That being said, I'm not sure what Sun's purpose is moving forward. Now that Blake has her team back, I would like to see him get a new role. Like, I'm worried about him not even traveling to Atlas with us. Yeah.
My assumption is that he teams up with Ilya because, I mean, they did have some rapport during that one episode.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's do it. Hype for, okay. Anyway, Team RWBY, you just like seeing them together? Anything specifically about how it was done, Andy?
I was really happy that Blake didn't respond to RWBY by saying, mind the long story too, because it's like, Blake, no it isn't. It's a really short story.
It was told in long form on the show, unnecessarily.
But it was a really short story. You went home, someone tried to kill your dad, and you came back. That's the end of your story, Blake. But other than that, I did like how Blake and Yang were sharing glances a lot during the talk. Like, that's the closest we get to a relationship stuff. But they were sharing glances even in the background. Like, when we moved back to Crow and Oscar talking, Blake actually turned specifically to look at Yang and no one else in the group hug. And I really liked that. Was a nice touch. Because it's clear from this conversation, whether they're doing it or not, these two are looking at each other more than everyone else in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that.
Looking at each other more. It must be.
Yeah. Yes, that's the closest we're gonna get, Dylan. I don't know what
probably.
else I can say.
Yeah. Look, so I love the Team RWBY reunion. Like, it's underwhelming given that we spent 2 seasons getting to this point.
Yeah.
But I don't, whatever. Like, obviously I was gonna love the scene, and we get the, a new song, All That Matters. Basically everything from RWBY, like, collapsing and Weiss, being really concerned. We had this very small White Rose moment, and, onward, they're like, what are you doing here, Blake? Even though they like saw each other and fought, 5 minutes ago. It's like, Blake says, I'm not going anywhere. That's all that matters. We're all here together, right? Says RWBY, which is, thank you, like, corny old person, RWBY. Yep. But then the song plays and, we get, Yang's like, uncertain whether she'll, the audience uncertain whether Yang will embrace Blake, but, then she smiles at Blake and then Blake smiles back at her. That's true. That it is, all that matters is that we're here together. And then the Team RWBY hug. Just love the song, love the moment. Bumblebee, I think, is the biggest thing to talk about here because one of the biggest questions coming into the finale was whether we would have an explicitly romantic Bumblebee scene. And the answer was no.
Definitely not.
No. Yep. We weren't really expecting it, but we had the glances last episode and it's like, are they going to do it? No. But, my read on what we did here, with all the looking at each other and earlier in the episode, when Yang comes back out with the relic, Blake is like beaming at her. My read is that this is a resolution to the, Yang anger at Blake running away plotline from earlier in the season, whatever
Alone Together.
Alone Together.
I don't know what episode that was.
Yeah. And, I think this is the conclusion. Yang gets over it because Blake is back and she's not running away anymore and they're smiling and happy. Yeah. So I thought that was well done.
Mm-hmm.
The question, Hayley, is this a precursor to romance in the future with the two of them, or is it just them concluding that arc?
Well, I think it could be both, depending on how it goes. Because personally, I really think that it is, and really honestly want it to be, that this is leading to romance in the future. And I think you can definitely look at it that way, because they, like you're saying, they're always clearly making those two make eye contact and like smiling at each other and having all these moments. And they had episodes in the past where, and in this season where obviously their relationship and all this like angst about the relationship was very important. And they devoted a whole episode to basically it, which is quite a lot. But it's also season 5 and there's still nothing happening. But granted, they've been separated for about 2 seasons now, so maybe that they're back together and have apologized to each other and like moving past, or at least worked on some of their major issues that they each have, with Yang getting too emotional and then Blake running away. Maybe now they can move forward together as Bumblebee, but we'll see. I'm definitely excited for next season to see what the general RWBY dynamic is, because we haven't seen that for a little while, and also the Bumblebee dynamic in particular, because I think they've been building up to something, but I don't know. It's a hope. Yeah. So I'm confused what they're doing here, because it's so confusing.
There was no romance in this finale, which I think was surprising. We've been teasing a few straight ships this season. Rose Garden had nothing here. I think that one is still probably very much on the table. They just tabled it for now. Kind of were teasing Black Sun, Blake and Sun.
And they seem really platonic.
And that, I don't think that was tabled. I think that we definitively showed them as platonic. Yeah. We could have had the moment where, Sun, like embraces Blake, after she hugs her parents, but instead Sun directs her towards Team RWBY. I think this is an explicit portrayal of, we're not doing this, romantically. And, there's still time and stuff, but I think at least for now, that seemed pretty definitive to me. Black Sun not happening. We were worried about Weiss and John. That was nowhere to be seen. Zero indication they're doing anything with that. Thank God. So that's not happening. So there's no real obstacle to Bumblebee. That's the thing. Bumblebee was the thing that was closest to romantic in this finale, and yet, it still seems unlikely given the show, but at the same time, there's nothing standing in its way. Like, Andy, do we have any hope at all that this is, the beginning and now we're going to explore them together now that Team RWBY's back?
I don't know. And I have no hope anymore, Dylan. Hope
I have no hope anymore.
Hope left a long time ago for this show.
Please pinpoint the moment when you stopped having hope in the show.
There was a podcast this season that I literally just went,
he just like broke down.
I literally broke in one of these podcasts. I think it was the episode, it was that really bad one,
here
like
you can
2
see
episodes
the exact
ago.
moment when,
when
Weiss was dying, yeah.
It was the one before you and me did one together, Dylan. I forget which episode that was, but we did. It was all 3 of us.
So you've no hope that it's happening. If you had to make a guess, yes or no, Bumblebee explored romantically by the end of season 13, what would you say?
Oh my God.
13. Oh no.
That's not a joke, by the way.
No,
That's what
I know you're not joking.
It's totally possible.
I think there's a possibility.
That's not an answer. Okay, Hayley, you say yes.
Yeah, they talked about Ilya loving Blake, and they've just done some things that are really, really stand out as not just being like, oh, you're my best friend in the whole wide world. Like, there's more going on there. And they've devoted more screen time this season than any other season, at least in my memory. two kind of like subtle hints, even though they were never really together the whole season. So I can only imagine when they're actually together next season what's going to happen. But fingers crossed.
Yeah, they're together now. We have a lot of time for this in Atlas. They get to write your Bumblebee snuggling up together in cold Atlas fanfiction.
Oh no!
Oh my god! We
With the
get
lamp
outfit changes. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's something people are hyped for.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get winter coats. This will be great.
Implying that the show will make their outfits less skimpy. Yeah, right. That's not happening.
No.
Blake has no temperature receptors on her midsection.
You think Blake's gonna lose the midriff? Yang's gonna cover up? No, absolutely not. The show's not doing that.
Not. They're gonna have like gloves and stuff on. They're gonna be like completely revealed at the same time. It's gonna be weird.
Just pop a hat on. You're good.
Yeah. So I think they will do Bumblebee. But not until like season 10. So we'll talk about it in 5 years. Okay.
Wow.
Actually not joking, but, yeah, I don't know what else they're doing if they're not doing that. They really should have done something romantic here because there's just nothing exciting.
It's so odd if they aren't doing Bumblebee.
The odd thing is this episode feels like it's building to this moment. It feels like the whole episode feels like it's building to something bigger than just the team reuniting. And then nothing happens. I think
that the episode, builds to a payoff to an arc that was there and then pays off the arc. Like, I think it's fine. You'd expect a bigger moment between the two, like there's not even a hug. Yeah. But they did give time to the glances. That entire song, All That Matters, is about Bumblebee. It's like very prominent. I think that the episode handled it fine, given that we weren't going to do anything romantic here.
I'm just frustrated because it's like every season ends where it's like maybe next season, and I'm just kind of done with that.
Okay, yeah, more on that later in my rant. But how about Freezer Burn this season? No payoff to Freezer Burn. Did we conclude that arc correctly?
Was it an arc?
Like, yeah, exactly.
They're friends now, I guess. I don't know. I would have really appreciated a scene afterwards as they're like walking out of the room and are all chatting and being fun and playful. I think that would have been much more satisfying to the end of this episode rather than just like a prolonged group hug. You know?
Yeah.
And maybe we would have gotten some Freezer Burn in that.
Yeah. It's very weird that they don't even talk to each other, given that was the main relationship this season, the main two character dynamic. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's leading to, now that the team's back together, a Weiss, Blake, Yang love triangle, then, sure. It's worth it. But,
wow. If you think Bumblebee has high hopes.
Yeah.
A love triangle between them.
It's happening.
This is like Dylan's like fantasy. This is the best thing that could ever happen in this show. All three of them in a love triangle.
Yeah, I mean, Ruby, White Rose too, but
and Ruby would root for all three of them. She would have no idea who to root for at all.
No, she'd be so confused.
Yeah, but a new character added to my shipping hopes, which was my second favorite scene of this episode.
Yeah,
and, this was it, Dylan.
No. How'd you not know it, Haley?
I had two scenes I liked. I didn't really even like the Yang and Raven scene. The two scenes I liked were the Team Ruby reunion, 30 seconds, and then the Ilya scene that starts the episode. It was the preview from the Ruby rewinds, and I watched it. I was so hyped for the finale. We did something gay with Ilya. Like I was so hyped. And then it was all downhill from there. But we still had the scene, Ilya, like they're trying to get the White Fang people to surrender. The guy, they all do except the one guy who's like about to shoot them, and then Ilya like takes him down, and random bunny girl Faunus says thank you. Like really dramatically, and Ilya like cool guy nods at her, like I got you.
Ilya just tried to look cool. Great.
Yeah.
Also, was Ilya the only one to stop this one dude? Like you're all surrounded with you didn't even need to bring those swords, guys. There was no training required, but only Ilya could stop this one.
They did all that training on the boat off screen for nothing.
At least it was off screen. That's all. That's literally the only thing of that.
But yeah, I love this scene. This was a requisite scene to have. You needed to show Ilya romantically interacting with another girl. in the second half of the season after that's not Blake. It was a 100% requirement. I said it a lot. And I do think the scene satisfies the requirement. It's like the bare minimum, but they did it. Like we showed Ilya, being like happily gay with someone and exploring like this outside of her straight girl crush on Blake. We've honestly solved it doesn't take away from the problematicness of that episode with Ilya coming out, but we've done the best we can with what we had with the Ilya redemption and now this scene. I think they handled her well.
We're not just ignoring it, which is what we were worried about too.
Yeah.
You know, like rather than just being a thing and then it's like, oh yeah, Ilya, remember that?
I mean, in an ideal world, this is next season. She's still with the group and she has an active arc with another girl, but
Bunny lady.
Or you could just show her flirting. I mean, I don't think Bunny Girl's coming to Atlas, but maybe Ilya isn't either. We'll talk about that. But this was just so incredible to see. I love Ilya. She's now a top 5 favorite character for me, and this is just so many. All the faunists are inexplicably attractive and young, so should have been a lot of girls.
Yeah, they're all the same age.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
They're all like 21. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So just take your pick, Ilya. There's a lot of people.
You're surrounded by the whole population.
Yeah, it was great. More of this. Number 1 request for next season, other than the Bumblebee love triangle with Weiss. More Ilya flirting. Please don't write Ilya off the show, please.
I don't think they will.
Well, okay. Well, we'll speculate at the end. Anyway, this scene was great, right? Thumbs up.
Yeah, it was good. It was
okay.
Good.
I was a little put off by how, with the amount of emotion Bunny Girl had in saying thank you.
That Ilya just nodded.
Yeah.
Look, she's new at this. She has to get experience flirting with girls before she can
why
get
was
better.
Bunny Girl so thankful?
Because she was into Ilya, duh.
Yeah.
That's why. She was like,
it's like she didn't save your life. Like, you're surrounded by but you're surrounded by other people with swords. Like, you were never really in danger.
Look, she was into her. That's why she was so dramatic. She's turning it into a moment. She knows how to do it. Okay. Yeah. Some quick hits here. So the White Fang stuff, as we were talking about, we have this scene with Blake and Adam. Blake says, I'm here for Haven, not you. I've got more important things to deal with. And, basically just dismisses Adam. Adam runs off. First of all, I love the notion that Blake is just doesn't need revenge on Adam, and that she's just ignoring him. Like, this is Adam's worst punishment, is not being the center of attention with his edgelord personality. And I would rather have this than the requisite Blake and Yang have to kill Adam for revenge. They have to, like, this is their whole worldview outlook is based upon this. No, they're both past it. Adam's unimportant, and I like how this is handled.
That said, I still want them to kill Adam.
Yeah, well, we were expecting Adam to die potentially, considering he was surrounded, and by all measures of logic, should have been dead this episode, but yet he found a convenient hole to run off, and we are not allowed to chase after him because that's what he wants us to do. So,
how did they not catch him though? Like, come on, like all their powers are just gone all of a sudden.
Well, no, the bigger thing is that the police didn't catch him. Like, did we call the police for nothing? Then the police did absolutely nothing.
Number 1 most wanted person, and they just let him get off. It's
they had
stupid.
a spotlight on him, and then we're like, oh, nope, never mind.
He ran away on foot. It's too much. We can't do it.
I am glad that Blake decided to not be alone with Adam, because that always leads to bad things if you're in a room alone with Adam.
Very true.
Yeah, I like, it's stupid that he was able to get away, but given the logic thematically, which was that Blake just doesn't care about him anymore, I thought that was good. I thought, like, it makes sense thematically. The conclusion with the White Fang, Adam's gone. Ilya definitively states that no one's going to follow Adam anymore. And Gira says that we need to form a new Faunus Brotherhood, and Kali seems to indicate that Gira would take the lead of this new group.
It's like, why'd you leave in the first place, dude? Come on. Well, he got, like, kicked out.
There's really no change from Volume 4.
He still lived in the giant mansion house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy, you seem to reference writing off earlier. Do you think this is the show writing off the White Fang?
I think this is writing off the White Fang except for Sun and Ilya. I think we're just like gonna push all the Fonuses back to Menagerie, and then Ilya and Sun are gonna stay behind. That's why they weren't looked at all when Gira was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the leader now. Like, I think this means that Ilya and Sun are sticking around. I hope.
Yeah, I regardless of the Sun and Ilya, I think that this is, the show ending the White Fang as a threat. That's what they seem to do. I expected it to be more definitive here. It's like, okay, new group. They just say Adam's not going to have followers, but they kind of leave it open. They could really do whatever they want next season with the White Fang. But I do think that the show recognized the White Fang was a bad plot line. We're ending it. It's not like good how it's handled here.
Yeah.
There were apparently 10 people in the team too. Like
that's stupid.
It wasn't like there was a big force they were fighting
against.
It's
stupid that like calling the police solves like the. I mean, just logically that calling them ends the Adam threat, but also that calling the police is like the solution to the group that wants racial equality. Like bad messaging.
I just can't get over that calling the police was an option. Like
it had no effect on anything either. So I don't know why they did that.
Also that they planted one thing, like a little pack of dynamite on a building. That was the grand plan.
Yeah.
Ilya took out one switch and they were free.
And,
they were home clear.
It's done. So, I think we're probably done with the White Fang, and that's maybe more than anything a good sign for the show moving forward. Get rid of your bad plot elements. The problem is Adam's still around. But maybe we're just gonna place him on, Salem's Council.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen Tyrion all season, and he's part of the council of her crew.
Don't started that Tyrion. I am so upset about that.
No tail. But,
I know, but maybe it means that like we could ignore Adam for at least a season.
I don't think we need to see Adam next season.
I'm actually of the opposite mind. I think Adam is kind of replacing Cinder in terms of like one of the villains we're going to see a lot next season.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll try. Yeah. There's the White Fang stuff. So Leo dies this episode. We have one death. It is, Professor Lionheart. He, gets stabbed by the Seer Grimm. I have nothing to say.
A character I don't think anyone had many attachments to. Let's be honest.
I literally forgot Leo died in this episode until I watched the episode a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're terrible.
I just don't care about that scene or Leo. I mean, really, this was the character they introduced in the beginning and the season and killed off at the end, and he was never really important. So,
what was his purpose? Because, like, it seems like what they were trying to present it as was like this whole other subplot of about the hunters and huntresses disappearing and how he was complicit with that, but that didn't really factor in very much to any sort of season long arcs or anything. So I feel like you could easily have taken him out as a character and honestly not much would have changed. So, and then him dying.
He was mostly just a plot device. There's like a scene with him and Raven where we tried to get into him thematically, and there's no purpose to try to do any of that.
I don't care about him that much.
Yeah.
And even when he got rid of all the hunters and huntresses, there was still the police. So...
Yeah, exactly. It's like that didn't matter. Are we not all like checking in the fact that like all the huntresses and hunters in this whole continent are dead right now? Like that was a
worthless plotline.
Yeah, that seems to be something significant.
Yeah, more on that. More on my feelings on the season as a whole. But it's a bad look in terms of audience expectations to have this epic finale, and then the character you kill off is the one that nobody cares about, the season specific character. Like, he's not important to the show overall. So that was disappointing, I think, given it's not like the show needs to have shock deaths or anything. It's just it's a bad look when you kill off one person and it is the character that's obviously going to be killed off.
Mm-hmm. It's not very dramatic.
Yeah. There's not really any purpose. Salem makes an appearance in the episode in, Emerald illusion form. Basically, Emerald gets really upset, that Cinder does not come back out, and she summons the Salem illusion. The prophecy is fulfilled from the opening, and it actually happens. and that was Salem, says, Osmond. They learned that that's what Salem looks like, which I actually think was a good thing to have them do. Like, I like this. I like showing
although she's not like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And
she could
bendy
probably
arms,
become, I mean, in the show everyone has bendy arms, but, she could probably become 20 feet tall.
You never know. You never know.
Oh man.
But I generally like this. I like paying off the Emerald in love with Salem stuff, but then Emerald just gets carried off by Hazel, and I thought that we'd have Emerald Redemption, and no, she's
Mrs. Cinder.
Still in Salem's control. I don't know. It was fine. I like the scene of Salem appearing. That was our big moment though. Like that was our big climax, and it was just an illusion. That's kind of indicative of the climacticness of this finale.
Also, I know that Emerald was in like a pretty like traumatic emotional state to bring that illusion on, but she obviously has really crazy illusion powers, and we didn't really see a lot of that in this big dramatic fight that went on for 4 episodes.
She summons the illusion for everyone in the room. I think that's maybe a first time. I think that I think we've only seen her do it for specific people before. That she's crazy powerful, yeah.
Yeah, why not use that power? If you're obviously losing a fight, use your powers. Don't just hide them.
I think Emerald is low-key one of the strongest characters in the show. It's just we have not seen her do anything yet.
Emerald has a ton of potential, and we haven't really seen as a character, not Leah even.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's not, we haven't done a lot with her. I'm hopeful for the future, but she's plummeted. At one point she was a top 5 character for me, but she's kind of plummeted here.
Also when she cries in this episode, I think that her crying is a lot more believable than Yang and Raven, and I actually felt for Emerald, because you actually felt like she cared about Cinder, unlike a lot of the other relationships.
I think the show to be fair, the show really struggled with the episodes that took place in this one room we stayed in for the past 6 episodes, but the one thing that they did well, a few things one of the things they did well was displaying Emerald's attachment to Cinder in the context of the fights that they're having. I thought that was good. And they paid it off. Good job. Do more with Emerald in the future. We referenced this checkmate scene. But Blake comes in, Ruby and Weiss are fighting, and Weiss
Blake comes in awesomely, by the way. I did like that.
It's very good. Weiss says, "I just remember you being more of the quiet one." It's just a good line, I guess.
Yeah,
there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history between Blake and Weiss. We could have had more.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the one that thought I was a racist in season 1. There's a lot more there, I think.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. That was fine. And then what's the plan, Ruby? Checkmate, and then they cut away. But the 3 seconds before they cut away were great. So
that was the problem, though, is they had Blake coming in, and she did that awesome backflip thing and kicked him in the chest, and it was awesome, and they had little quips happening, and then after the talk with Yang and Raven, we just come back and they're all panting or oh, tough fight, guys. You should have seen that. It was awesome. Why not show us any of that? That was going to be the awesome big climactic fight, and we just skipped it all instead. Take the budget money from the last 4 episodes of pointless fights that were so sillily done, and instead put it towards an actually interesting fight with our team instead. It's such a miscalculation. I do not get it. At all.
I mean, we don't know what's the motivations behind production and stuff. They're definitely limited by the amount of fights they can do. I assume that's a production factor. This show's really hard to make, and it's done in an amateur animation studio, so it's really impressive what they can do. We'd obviously love if they channeled more resources into the fights. One thing I do think is that I think the 14 episodes, the 2 bonus episodes, mostly failed.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer if we did the opposite and we cut back to 10 episodes and we focused more on the specific contents of the 10 episodes rather than have spend 4 episodes in the same room. So
yeah, that seemed like a waste of our time, and also to have these fights happening earlier on that didn't really have much impact to anything. Whereas, they had interesting moments, but, it wasn't great, and I think we all kind of thought that the characters who should be more powerful and should be able to stand up for themselves clearly were not. And then we get, a callback to earlier seasons with the checkmate reference, and then, nothing.
I did really like the Weiss and then Yang fights earlier in the season, but then it kind of fell off from there. I will say, Ruby saying checkmate, this, even more so than the RWBY reunion, I think, triggered the memory of how awesome it was to have Team RWBY together in volumes 1 to 3. Like RWBY, like being an actual leader, actual main character, and calling plays for the team fighting. Like that's what I really loved about volumes 1 and 2.
That was awesome.
Like that's why I think those are the two best seasons, and the potential for that happening again now that they're back together is it makes me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before we move on for this, Dylan, can I have my rant? Because my rant is actually related to this scene.
Well, let's save it. I have like three quick hits from the episode, but
okay.
We'll come back to that. Osmond says, or Oscar as Osmond says, we must get the lamp to Atlas.
Of course.
Okay, there you
Cool,
go.
bro.
Atlas, the Atlas tease.
As he's passing out.
I'm actually, everyone was speculating Atlas next season. I'm kind of surprised we did it so soon. I don't know if we're sticking to our 3 seasons, as an arc plan. Like in theory, if that's, I don't know if this is still a thing, but volumes 1, 2, and 3 are like, intro, middle, big finale, and, volumes 4, 5, and 6 should follow the same arc. Volume 4, a very slow intro. This season was middle, and then in theory, next season should be huge, like volume 3 at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So introducing a new place, I wonder how that'll play into that.
I just really hope we don't travel for a whole season to Atlas again.
God.
Open up with us in Atlas already. Yeah,
Oh,
please. I didn't even think of that. Don't get me depressed about
I
this.
know. Would that be horrible? Oh, it'd be so horrible.
Europe brought a bunch of boats. Just take one of his boats, please.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we missed the boats from Menagerie to Haven, so we have to make up for it. The credits, we have new song, this time, from Shadows Part 2, which was the Black trailer song, and we got a Part 2 for it. I thought this time was very good. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I always like Blake's songs. They're really neat.
Any songs. We had
Yeah.
several episodes without, and we got 2 here, and both were great. So very much looking forward to this soundtrack. And I can't believe we've spent 50 minutes without talking about the best part of the episode, guys.
My God.
The highly anticipated stinger is Taeyang gardening.
Yeah.
Wow, what we all really wanted.
And then there's a raven feather that floats down.
Yep.
I did a predictions thing. I posted on the RWBY Reddit, and 200 people responded. I didn't list this as one of the potential options, but there was a write-in option. 3 out of 200 did say Taeyang and Raven. So
No, really?
I mean, it makes sense. If you think Raven's living, her portaling to Taeyang could be a thing. This wasn't actually what we got. We just got the feather, but yeah, basically, this was just, there's a lot of cool things they could have done. They could have had Tyrion's new tail, and they could have played it for laughs. They could
Cinder
have had
doing something.
Cinder clawing back up. We could have had a brief cut to the new maiden that we're going to explore next season that we've never seen. We could have seen,
Team RWBY hanging out for a second.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted
them eating shawarma.
Yeah.
Could have had the zombie Pyrrha tease that we've all been hoping for, or most of all, if we're going to Atlas next season, Penny being back. None of that. We get Taeyang.
It would have been great if we just had like 2 lies eyed up and said, "I'm combat ready," and that's it. That would have been the best stinger ever.
If it was just cut to, it was they didn't need to animate anything. It was just a black screen and then, combat ready. That would have been much better.
Yeah, like just like you could hear like a light switch turn on and like not even see anything turn on, but just like hear a switch and then just combat ready. That's it. That's great. We're hyped for the next season.
So exciting. Meanwhile, we get Taeyang being paranoid about seeing black birds. Like,
do you guys think we'll actually see Taeyang and Raven?
We must, if they're going to do that.
No.
I hope not.
I assume we won't see that. That seems like such a waste of time.
It does.
Well, why would you waste your stinger on it then?
Who knows? Their stingers have been all over the place. Anyway. Okay, we're gonna speculate about next season, but first, let's have the rants. Andy, you said it was related to, I don't even remember what we're talking about. Oh, the checkmate stuff?
The fight that we skipped. That we didn't.
Okay.
Because I just
the floor is yours.
Okay. So they just skipped this fight, which I think was the biggest mistake of this entire season. And not just from like a fanboy. Like I'm not coming from a fanboy. I'm coming from like a theme and purpose of this season perspective. This season, the entire purpose of it, if the last scene of your season is going to be Team RWBY getting back together, and the entire season they're slowly getting back together, it's fair to say the entire point of the season was for Team RWBY to be back together. When they hug at the end, that is their emotional, like, returning to being a team. But before that, they fought together. But we didn't see it. They fight together. That moment is supposed to be, if they actually showed the fight, supposed to be the moment when we realize they're a unit now. They're back to being a unit because we would have been able to show them fighting Hazel, Mercury, and Emerald, and while they defended Yang talking to Raven. It's them working together for the first time ever. But instead, we just cut it off for no reason. And there's 3 reasons you don't show a fight in a show. The first is you want the result to be ambiguous. You don't want the audience to know what the result is. We clearly see the result here. It just doesn't really they don't do anything. Nothing really happens. So that's not the purpose of this. The second reason, you want to hide the power levels of somebody. You want like a new character to show up and just waste a bunch of people, and then you don't really know how they did it. And the third is that you don't have a budget or you don't want to use the time to do it. And that is a stupid reason for this, because if this was the plan for the season, they should have known they should have had the budget to make a fight like this. They should have planned for it. We could have just not had the maiden fight last episode and had this fight, because this fight is much more important thematically and to the audience than anything else they showed this season, and they just cut away. It's the most stupid decision I've ever seen. If this fight had been here, it wouldn't only be a good finale with a fight, it would make sense. This is important. It's emotional. We're seeing them fight. The fact that I got so excited when RWBY said checkmate should, if they don't realize when they're writing the show that this is the most important moment in the season, then I don't know what's wrong with them. Because this is the most important moment. They should have been building to this, and they were, but they just cut away. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I am just beyond mad about the fact that we cut away here, because it just shows such lack of understanding of what they're even writing. I don't even get it. I just don't.
Okay, you lost me at this is the stupidest thing the show's ever done. There've been a lot of things.
What I mean by that is that
really stupid.
Because the thing is, they built it up all season. If you watch the course of this season, this should be the pinnacle. This should be the peak. This moment. It should be RWBY, Weiss, and Blake fighting while Yang is protected by them, because they're working together for the first time in 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And It makes no sense that you cut away. It doesn't make sense.
Especially when this is the point of the show as well. Is the show is Team RWBY fighting bad guys, and it's awesome. And just skip it. And also to give us the teaser of oh, checkmate, let's be awesome guys, and then nothing. It's so ridiculous. It's so silly. It does not make any sense why they would do it.
Okay, I have 2 points, counterpoints. I mean, I agree with you, Andy. They should have shown the fight, but, number one, Yang wasn't there. I don't think it's necessarily right to point to the scene specifically. It would have been great to see them all 4 fight together, but it's not like we've been building up to those 3 specific combination.
I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
You could have just wrote it in a different way to have Yang there, so that's not really a counterpoint. I don't agree with Hayley that this is the point of the show anymore. I wish it was, and I'm about to talk about this, but I don't think that the show is about Team RWBY.
It's got a
very
vague point at this point.
That was the other rant I was preparing, Dylan, that I couldn't articulate it well, so I didn't use that as my rant. But
I'll give a version of that rant. But anyway, good job, Andy. Yeah. I don't share your anger at this, I guess. My rant isn't going to be angry. I'm just amusingly frustrated or exasperated.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just angry because it feels like if you're making a season that this is the point of the season, that they didn't realize that this should be the most important moment.
What is the point of this season?
That's a whole other discussion.
I know.
Does the season have a point? Does the show have a point?
But the closest thing to a purpose for the season is the team gets back together. That's the closest thing I can understand.
I agree. That's the one through line here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it should have been if they had a fight. This finale would have been amazing. Whether it would have been actually fun.
Yang shows up halfway through and then can join in to finish them off.
I was excited for a fight because Yang had one arm. Whenever a character is restricted in some way, it always makes really cool fight scenes. There's just so much they missed out on in this episode. Besides this one fight, I'm just really annoyed.
Look, I agree. They should have had the fight scene. I don't know. I'm not angry because I had no expectations of them actually doing it. I'm just,
I had no expectation either, Dylan, but the point is that they clearly designed this scene to have a fight. And
they did it in a way which they teased it and then didn't follow through. That's pretty bad, yeah.
I think the problem is it so clearly could have been so good, but they just didn't do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
If you don't have the budget, don't do this. Don't pretend like there's a fight going on when you just don't have the budget to do it, because it makes no sense. They could have done this in so many other ways that doesn't involve them having to show a fight off scene. And it's just so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. I don't know.
So much potential.
There's a lot of reason to be mad about this show. That's one of them.
I was yelling about a lot of things. Dylan, this was the most coherent thing I could think of, unfortunately.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I have a more broad rant. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of cheating and just giving a version of the rant that I give every single week here on the podcast. But
season and conclusion rant.
Yeah, but we can revisit here because it applies to this season. And it should be noted, this episode was fine. It didn't piss me off. So I have nothing to be super angry about. I'm not enraged at the stuff that's not having the fight. They didn't kill Ilya. I'm happy. So
they didn't actively do anything bad. Like, aside from the fight being kind of
they didn't kill Ilya and they had her flirting with a girl. Like, there's nothing they could have done. They kept me in. So, but here's the general RWBY rant, and I apply it to this finale. So here you go. Watching RWBY is an exercise in futility. And this is something that I've kind of said in different words a lot.
Rave reviews.
Every year, we tune in hoping the show recaptures the elements that drew it to us in the first place. And every week we watch, we see another episode that consists of things happening that none of us really care about. Volume 5 was another year of more of the same. Sure, there were a few high points that we latched onto and made us hope for better. But ultimately, what happened this volume is my question. I think, as little as last one, which we called one of the most boring things ever. Turns out, nothing happened. All of our RWBY criticism can kind of be shrunken down to, give the audience the things that they want to see. Now, I know that a lot of you don't agree with me on, what I want to see, you listening. So let's change that to what I want to see, because people have different priorities. We just want to see things that we're interested in with this show. This week was a highly anticipated finale. I was really excited for it, more than any other show that we watch, which are much better than this, and just irrationally more excited for this. And ultimately, all that were engaged me were these 2 30-second scenes that we talked about. This is what your finale material is? This is what we saw in this episode? This is the climactic finale. What we want to see from the show are fights, Team RWBY doing things and interacting, our 4 main characters actually interacting, maybe Bumblebee, maybe we could have brought Penny and Pyrrha back or something, music, which we had a little bit of. Grim, I think, are kind of an interesting thing that's just not been a part of this season.
Definitely Cinder's grim arm. That's good.
Yeah, that's,
More of that.
we had one appendage.
Yeah.
Well, no, we had those wasps.
You did
that was like 10 episodes ago.
Yeah.
I think Faunus I was thinking about this. I think Faunus are one of the strongest elements of the show's mythology. We didn't really do anything. We had a whole plot arc that took place in Faunus, country, and none of it really did anything.
It was really boring.
Most of all, big events. And that did not happen. I could care less about all this talking that we got in this finale and previously. This Tai Yang post-credit scene, anything involving Ozpin and Oscar, Emerald and Mercury, even though I love Emerald, could care less. Leo dying, could care less. Adam and Raven running away, don't care. And most of all, the relics and the maidens. Huge element of the show, absolutely no investment. There were episodes in this finale that mostly fell into the first grouping of things, the things that we want to see. But this finale was almost entirely in that latter category.
Yeah.
I mean, I just listed things from the finale. But, the number one thing RWBY can do to improve for Volume 6 is to focus on the more interesting aspects of the show. More Team RWBY, more fights, more awesome music. The problem is, we've been saying this exact same thing for 3 years running now. This is that exact line. Focus on
At least
those
they're back
things.
together. I don't know.
Yeah, Team RWBY is reunited. Team RWBY is reunited, though.
Finally.
So I'll absolutely be coming back for Nord next season, despite the impossibility that things will get better.
Yep.
There you go. That's the end of my
Like,
rant.
Oh, it's so depressing, but true.
I think the most frustrating part is that, Dylan, you're like, there are people that actually don't think Team RWBY are like the most important thing in this show.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's a lot. Yeah, I see a lot of that. I specifically seek out RWBY discussion before, like several. I think you guys don't realize that I like spend a few hours of research on what different fans are saying on 4chan, Reddit, and it's there's a lot of people that don't agree that Team RWBY should be the main characters.
And I'm sorry, they're just wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably, anyway, it's like, I don't know how to speak to them. Like, we want different things. Anyway. So that's kind of harsh, but I would like to, very much commend everyone at Rooster Teeth Animation for this season. I think this season was really incredible production values. It was a huge improvement. Once again, like the third year running that the show has looked a lot better. And I think that the people at Rooster Teeth Animation are doing an incredible job. Like, this show could easily air on like Nick or Cartoon Network or something.
For sure.
It really could.
Yeah.
Even just like the crowd of Faunus at this big White Fang takedown thing, like being able to animate all of those and the backgrounds they designed.
The background characters have just been so
good.
like, it's so, like, they've had so many interesting Faunus designs here, yeah.
And the Cinder and Raven fight was like incredible as well.
I just think
it really was.
The whole vault really made me feel like this could be on TV.
Yeah.
Like the vault was just really
that was amazing.
Yeah, they did do a really good job with the vault, yeah. So, you know, we have a lot of frustrations about the show, but I'd like to say the people doing the hard work and actually making this, I think, are doing an excellent job.
Really good job.
Okay. Let's talk next, or let's grade Volume 5 overall. There was a point when I thought that this was going to be easily the third best season at least. I think the first half was really strong, and I think we kind of fell out here. I think there's 4 really good episodes, and that's the strength of the season. There's Lighting the Fire, maybe I'll get with something wrong here. Known by its song, no, not that one. Alone Together, yes, True Colors, and Downfall. So, okay, there's the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting the Fire, Alone Together, True Colors, and Downfall. And those are 4 really good episodes. And there's a few others, including Known by its song, that are pretty decent too. We got a few episodes that were like some of the worst of the show. For the most part, I think that this was an improvement on Volume 4 just because it wasn't really boring a lot of the time.
A lot of things would have been an improvement on Volume 4 without much effort.
Yeah, do you guys, Andy, do you agree?
I agree. This is better than Season 4. I don't know if it's leaps and bounds better, but it's better than Season 4.
See, most of the season was not boring.
Yeah.
That's
and it had a few actively good parts to it as well.
Yeah. I'm someone that thinks seasons 2 and 1 are the best 2 seasons, which most people disagree with. I was seeing season rankings on CO today, and most people had Volume 3 the highest. I think people are too focused on production values. Like, yeah, we get it. Cinder hopping on the roof of Volume 2 during the dance is the stupidest looking thing anyone's ever seen. We get
it.
But
it's a good season.
But who cares? Yeah, it doesn't. It's about the narrative. Anyway, my rankings would be season 2 is the best, followed by season 1. And then I think I would keep 3 at third, put this one fourth, and have 4 at fifth. But I think it's close between 3 and the season. The strength of the season are these 4 standout episodes, but Volume 3 also has standout episodes, including the Cinder flashback one. And the finale is really exciting. Despite that awful Adam scene, it's just a really hype, epic finale. And this volume's finale was pretty underwhelming.
And also, Season 3's finale focuses on Team RWBY at the very least.
A large portion of it is like Pyrrha.
But I mean, like, that's okay. Because Pyrrha was like the character of that season.
They
like,
properly built her up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm taking, for now, I'm taking 3 over 5. What about you, Andy?
I agree. 3 is better. 3 is better than 5. This one could have been better than 3, but we just tapered off at the end. Like, really hard.
I think it was on pace the first half, yeah.
Yeah.
Hayley, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the first half-ish of this season, I would take over some season 3 episodes. But I think looking at it overall as a complete unit, season 5 really suffered in the last 4 episodes. And that makes 3 better overall. But there are some parts in season 5 that I really enjoyed and enjoyed more than parts in season 3. So it's kind of confusing. But I think as a season as a whole, 3 is better. with that finale too. So
rare agreement. Let us know your season rankings, listeners. I think that True Colors, if the play, I need to watch it again. Considering the progress we made with Ilya, that might be one of the best episodes of the show. Looking back, I think. I also think Alone Together was that Alone Together or True Colors? I don't remember.
Alone Together
was the Ilya coming out episode.
Yeah,
Alone Together.
True Colors is when they fought.
And that episode's also good, but I think Alone Together, if the Ilya stuff plays better, could go down as one of the show's best episodes. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she's a really interesting character, and they actually put some time into making her an interesting character.
Yeah.
So
and Alone Together is also
there.
the stuff with the Bumblebee angst with Freezer Burns.
Yeah, always fun.
Which is some of the best episodes.
And then RWBY chilling on a roof or a patio thing. Yeah.
I think when we're looking back on the season, I think I'm going to remember that episode as the standout one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like you had your Cinder and Raven fight scene in Downfall, but other than that, there wasn't a lot going on there. And then there's, but with volume, at least there's an improvement on last season. Hoping for good things in season 6. We're going to Atlas.
Exciting. Let me
list off elements that could come into play, and we'll go Hayley, then Andy. You tell me yes or no. We'll get into these things next season.
Oh man, okay.
Penny.
Yes, but not really. Probably a weird little clue, but past that, maybe not. But I think she's gonna be mentioned.
If we don't get Penny, I don't know what's wrong with these people. She's a robot. She has to come back.
It's from Atlas. Too.
I have zero faith that they're bringing Penny back.
I know. That's what I mean, Dylan. It makes 100%. It makes 100% sense that she will come back, but she's not going to.
No, it'll probably just be RWBY oh, Penny was from Atlas, wasn't she? And that'll be the end of her storyline.
It would be very fun to have new Penny that kind of retains old Penny's emotions, but is a new person, and her meeting RWBY again and stuff. That's how I'd write the season. But that's not happening.
I'd write it as she's a smaller robot or something. She's a little thing. Cause she doesn't have to have a body. She can come back in any ways. She's just a computer.
She could be, she could just be on the computer as an AI. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we could do any of that. Ironwood. Yes.
Yeah. He's coming back.
Yeah.
And I think Ironwood's actually a decent character, so I'm excited.
Yeah, he's cool.
Weiss's family, not Winter, Whitley, Weiss's dad, and, Butler.
Yeah. And I think the rest of Team RWBY is going to hate Whitley just as much as Weiss does. And it might be interesting. We'll see.
I think we'll have them back because I don't know location-wise how close Weiss's family is to the relic. If they're close enough to the relic, then yes, we'll see them. If they're not, then they won't show up.
Who says we're going after the relic? We're just bringing the lamp there.
Oh, okay, Dylan.
That's all Aspen said. I'm actually not convinced we're revisiting Weiss's family so soon. I don't know if that's happening. We dealt a lot with that last season. I do think we're going to see Winter. Yes.
Hopefully, yeah. Please.
Because she's with Torchwood a lot, so yeah. Ironwood.
Mm-hmm. To bring Torchwood back, but
yeah, we haven't seen her in ages, and as far as we know, she's not dead. So hopefully, she appears.
Bringing Winter back, that's a must. Okay, yes or no? Ilya comes to Atlas.
Yes, I really hope so.
Andy,
I'm sorry. What was that? I'm sorry.
Ilya coming to Atlas.
I think I mentioned this earlier. I think that Sun and Ilya are coming with them. I think that Gira taking over the White Fang, or the new whatever they're going to call White Fang, is a sign that Ilya and Sun are going to come with the team. I would love if they replaced John, Red, and Nora. They're so much more fun than John, Red, and Nora. By leaps and bounds.
But we saw Sun when he saw them, he was waving at them, because they are all friends. So I can definitely see them all traveling together.
Are John, Ren, and Nora coming?
Yeah, of course. What else have they got to do?
My point, Dylan, is if we bring John, Ren, and Nora and not Ilya and Sun, I will just be why? Yeah. Why are we doing
I don't have confidence we're bringing Ilya with us. I'm sorry.
I think we will. This wouldn't be the end.
It's my number one wish list, but I don't know if we're doing it. Sun, presumably yes, if you guys say yes.
He always tags along.
I think Sun is more 50-50. And Ilya,
I think Sun needs a purpose outside of Blake, so I don't know. We'll see what they do with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's this group of 12 people is just traveling together now. I think we'll see how they handle it, because
they're fighting a goddess of darkness and death, so they should probably have a big group.
You need a large party so you can switch out when your members get KO'd. Yeah, exactly. Who is the villain next season? Tyrion?
Please.
Dr. Watts?
No, the villain is Tyrion's tail, obviously. Not
Tyrion's
Tyrion's tail.
I think obscure
Cinder, Adam, like who you got, Hayley? The most prominent villain next season.
I think that Cinder will appear and cause trouble at some point, but I think our main villain is going to be an unknown Atlas character that we do not know yet.
Oh, great!
I disagree.
I think so.
Who
do we know? Because it's not going to be Weiss's dad.
I think following the trend of because I think they've been doing a trend here. We've been introduced to a member of Salem's court this season before they're the main villain, essentially. Because we saw Hazel last season, and then he was kind of like a big threat this season. I think we saw Watts this season, so he can be a threat next season.
Very
I think
true.
Watts
Doesn't he have ties with Atlas too?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so okay. So either
he's
someone we don't know or
Atlas
Watts.
originally. So yeah, I think it's probably Watts, but I will say I think Cinder will be a big element of the season. If we are doing the seasons and arcs of 3, then this should be our big explosive thing. So it's got to be Cinder, or maybe Salem shows up. I don't know, but
I think if that happens, it won't be for until after the halfway point in the season.
Yeah, second half, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So there, we'll see. We'll see in the Atlas season. This is probably our last RWBY podcast for a while, but if you guys really want us to speculate on Atlas stuff, you can maybe put stuff in the comments, leave your theories, and then that's possible. We'll get to that, but
get some more Rose Garden happening.
Oh my god!
Stop! Why? No, don't bring up Rose Garden.
I know it's horrible. It's so gross.
It's so gross.
It's so gross.
Endorsement. Hayley, what is your?
It's still less gross than Lancaster somehow.
Yeah.
Probably. Hayley, what is your send off for Volume 5?
Well, you're a good time, Volume 5. I was looking back at all the episodes and writing down pros and cons I had and the good moments and stuff. And I'm actually impressed that of this season, my top moments were all really good moments with female characters. With them being powerful and standing up for themselves and having interesting dynamics, both emotionally and physically and fighting and everything. So I think that is something that's definitely positive to come out of this season. And we're finally reunited. So ultimately, I don't care what happened this season, as long as we're together going into the next, that is great. And we got some nice Bumblebee moments, and we developed the Ilya character, which is great, and actually had some really interesting revelations from her too, and hopefully she stays on with the team, but we'll see. But yeah, so I think I'm not leaving this season upset. I'm frustrated at parts, but I'm still, maybe misguidedly, I'm still looking forward to the next, which we'll see. It's kind of just okay, cool. Let's.
I think you're more optimistic than Andy. I'm
definitely am. Yeah,
that's good. Always is good.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think you made a great point with the female characters. The maybe number one best thing the season did was not focus on John and Ren as much as last season.
It brought in interesting, powerful female characters and had them actually do something, which was great.
Which is crazy because this season started with Sienna dying.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I was already, beginning of the season, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is terrible. But then they brought it back. They got it together.
In retrospect, Sienna dying, most pointless scene of the show, maybe?
Pointless.
Yes.
Oh my god. It was so
no effect on anything. Yeah. Plays worse now that we know it had no point in the plot.
It's Adam just stole her 10 guards that were around her and was like, okay guys, let's go. He did not need to kill her.
No, the crazy thing is, I think he thought that was all the white fag. I think he killed her.
Maybe.
That's the entire white fag right there.
He could have done his big moment in Haven with just some buds that he was.
He could have done it himself. He could have just walked in and planted one bomb.
So
okay,
annoying.
I like stupid Adam headcanons. That's good.
Yeah. It's good.
Andy, what's your send off for Volume 5?
I had it, and I lost it because Adam's stupid. Let's see if I can find it again.
Circle back.
It had to do with Tyrion. No, it didn't have
Tyrion not being in it. That was
it wasn't actually about Tyrion. I was kidding.
I wish Tyrion's tail was a stinger. That would have been great.
Well, no, I wish it was too. I've been harping on it all season. It needed to be a stinger. It needed to be. But I remember now. My thing with this season is that I'm really worried about the show going forward because this cemented my frustration with the fact that Crow and Oscar are with the group now. This means that Team RWBY and any of the kids, any of the younger members of this whole group, like any of them, are less important than these two characters that really aren't really like I don't care about them. They're important members because they're in charge now, and I don't like that. I want Team RWBY to be blazing a trail, but clearly Crow and Oscar are, and by extension Ozpin, are in control of all this, and I don't like that. And I wish that there was some kind of plot element to next season that separates them in some way.
And there could be, hopefully.
There could, but I'm not sure they're going to do that. If they do it, great. That's the first step they need to take to make sure the next season is great, or good at least, is to make sure that the students are doing stuff without Crow and Ozpin there, because I don't want them controlling everything. I just don't like it. It doesn't make a good dynamic, and they're a lot more boring than just watching all the students interact with each other.
Yeah. This was underreported story. This is a really bad season for Crow.
Yeah.
Last season he was a good character, and I don't think he really did anything here.
Not much.
Kind of pointless.
He had that dramatic sigh right as we went to the credits, which was odd.
Which is very, very dumb.
So
he was very subservient to Ozpin, who in himself was very annoying and frustrating with a lot of plot points, so it just made him frustrating too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I don't know. I don't really have a send off for this volume. You know, I'm going to miss RWBY being on, but at the same time, less frustrating.
Take a breather.
But Dylan, you get to not be like a slave driver and tell us to watch RWBY every week.
Yeah.
You're going to miss that.
We'll be back probably next season, but I was low key hoping that the show would either kill Ilya or put John and Weiss together, or kill Weiss, and then I would just be able to be done with the show. But no, they didn't.
But they're like teasing stuff. You got to see what's next.
We'll be back. They did just a good enough job that we'll be back. Okay, we're never break out of the cycle. In 10 years, when the series finale airs, we'll look back and say, why did we waste our life with that show for 15 years? Yeah.
If anything, it's a lesson in how not to write stories, which might be valuable.
I thought you were the positive one here.
But that's a positive.
But she's right.
That is a sarcastically negative angle.
Yeah.
Okay, so do the opposite people than what RWBY is doing. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Hayley and Andy, for being on RWBY Podcast all year. You guys were really great. Thank you to Delaney, Steve, the whole overly animated crew. We had an expanded RWBY crew. I thought it was great. Did Delaney drop the show? We'll see. She's definitely not caught up. But if Bumblebee happened, I would have been able to message her saying, you got to catch up now. But there's really she doesn't need to. So, we'll see who's back for next year.
Check out the looks.
Yeah. Just let her know if gay happens, and then she can watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
you can tell her Ilya and her
enough.
bunny girlfriend happened.
Yeah, I'll send her that GIF. That'll be it. But, you know, there you go. There's the overly animated coverage. Thank you guys very much for listening all season. These got, pretty popular towards the end. I don't know. Maybe you guys were frustrated too with the show. But let us know comments. Let us know comments on their coverage of the season as a whole on YouTube, on overlyanimated.com if you click on the article. And, we'd really appreciate iTunes reviews on, you go to search on iTunes for Overly Animated for our main feed and for the RWBY feed. There's a lot of negative reviews on the RWBY feed, so it'd be great if you guys could leave positive ones too. A lot of the negative ones are very entertaining, so if you're gonna do negative reviews, at least make them, stupidly, epically long. I appreciate that. And,
you're gonna get really bad negative reviews now, Dylan. You should have said that.
Are they listening an hour and 20 in? Probably.
People like our rants. So
there's someone who subscribed to us on YouTube who just instantly downvotes every video we put out, so there are people who love to hate us. And, okay. Thank you guys very much, guys, for listening. I definitely have an affinity towards the, RWBY podcast, the people who listen to them. This is, it's different from all of the coverage of our other shows. We're more critical, where it's a different type of show that we cover. And, we definitely wouldn't be doing it 3 years, now, if I wasn't passionate about the show and we didn't have passionate people.
Love the characters.
So. Yeah, still,
Certain
still,
characters.
Ruby and Weiss still two of my favorites on TV, and I think also a very good Yang season. By the way, we didn't talk about that, but this was a great Yang season. But yeah, please give us feedback if you appreciated it. If you liked all of our RWBY podcasts this season, maybe leave us an iTunes review, or you could become a patron to talk with us on Facebook group. You can just come join our Discord to talk in general. overlyanimated.com/Discord. We will be talking about other shows. We'll have the RWBY channel up all year, but also becoming a patron is the number one way to support us. And you can do that at overlyanimated.com, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, John A.K. Garfield. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Not the end, maybe the end of the RWBY coverage here for a while, but not the end of the Overly Animated podcast. A bunch of podcasts coming up. We have, Mysticon's coverage. We have Miraculous Ladybug coverage, a very hype episode of that coming out. I just had a Mary and the Witch's Flower review with Beatrice. They did a Sailor Moon podcast. There's a lot of different types of stuff, a lot of animation content at overlyanimated.com. So if you just listen to RWBY stuff, check out some of our other stuff. Maybe you'd like it. Okay, we're done.
We did it.
We did it.
Very long podcast. Yeah, good job. If you made it to the end, comment. I don't know.
Thank you.
No, comment. I made it to the end of this ridiculously long 90-minute podcast. No spaces. Okay. 90. Yeah, there you go. 90 minutes. Yes. So thank you guys very much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.